Hey everyone, I hope you've had a good week. I want to post this video for the second unit in class, and I'm sorry I didn't get it up before. I sent y'all an email and told you I've just I'm almost on a first name basis with all the folks who work at Geek Squad. I've spent probably 12 hours in the last 10 days online trying to get things up and running, and I get offline with them and go to use things like this camera to make this video and it doesn't work again. Anyways, hopefully with any luck there's sound and we've got it sorted now. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. They were like, well, maybe you could use another program. I was like, it's a brand new computer. It should work because of how it's brand new. That's not a thing. Hey, here's your brand new $1 million computer. Some things probably aren't going to work though, so you'll have to figure something else out. Anyways, super frustrating. So I'm sorry about the delay in getting this video up. It's been a nightmare. Okay, so we're talking about expectations of mothers. There's empowered mothering, talking about sort of the prescriptions for mothering, the authoritative voices on mothering, and also our readings are about stay-at-home moms and working moms and what those kinds of constructs look like and what they've meant for women. And so you can do the reading. I'm not going to discuss those chapters in super big detail or anything, but once you look at the lecture and do the reading, there's just some things I kind of want us to think about, right? Questions to ask and things to be mindful of. And this is a really interesting time. I said, at the very beginning of the course, and I think the first video that I sent out, that this is an especially interesting time for us to be having this discussion about mothering and what it means, and particularly, what it means for a stay-at-home mom versus what it means for a working mom, because the conditions of everyone's lives are so vastly different than they ever have been in our lifetime. And this has changed the game for most of us. I'm not a stay-at-home mom. And I know for me, working from home and having two kids at home has absolutely changed the way that we navigate. And it's changed our schedule and it's changed everything. And, my ability to, I think, be organized really has been challenged by this pandemic and by staying in the house. And even something as simple as this technological glitch that I was having with my camera consistently on my computer. I couldn't make videos or do whatever. Before I could go to my office and use that computer. So I actually didn't know until the pandemic hit and I had to be at home that this video thing was going to be a problem. And I've resolved it and resolved it and resolved it, right, and had to recontact them and contact them but it just wasn't something I was aware of because I was able to do all of this, from my office. If when my computer died, for example, there's all the things, right? There's nowhere to go, and I can't even just go directly to the store and buy a new one, right? So just in some very practical ways, it's different. We used to get up and shower and dressed for the day and all of these things, and now our sleep schedules are different. And my oldest sleeps in more, and that changes how my little one is, and it changes when breakfast is. If people eat here all day long, it's absolutely everything has changed. And I think about sometimes what that means for me as a mom. Because usually, it's not that I'm not flexible, and on weekends we do whatever, but I run kind of a tight ship. We do things a certain way, whatever. And it's different now. And it's hard not to continue to feel the pressures of sort of the normal world that we had been living in before, even though nothing is normal now. And so, I wonder sometimes, you see everything on social media about what people are up to. And I wonder sometimes about what the difference is for stay-at-home moms. What is the stress impact on their lives versus mine? And not because it's a measuring, like a scale that where one is higher or lower. I just would like to know kind of what the difference is. And maybe this is something we can talk about a little bit when we establish, sometimes to have some Zoom meetings. Because this has never happened before. And I think in lots of ways we have come to value the roles of all kinds of people who, are involved in the care of little people, because so many people are dealing with all of the things all at once and trying to manage just the stress of the pandemic, the stress of the finance. There's so many things that have altered what this parenting gig looks like. And it would be interesting for me, sort of to say, so what does that mean for female identified moms versus dads or same-sex parents, at home with their kids? I just think that this adds a whole other element, and it's something that we've never really had to consider before. I also, in terms of our specific situation right now, am really interested to know, and maybe again, this is something we can chat about, but how people are feeling the expectations of their roles right now. Because it is different, and our ability to move around the world to meet all of these needs is different. And so I'm interested to know how people are experiencing, expectations of whatever nailing it looks like in terms of our current, sort of climate, the current conditions. I also, especially, it's something that we talk about anyways, but it's also, I think, really, really something that we're going to see some fallout from here in, the next couple of years as we start to move out of the pandemic once there's a vaccine. But the mask of motherhood, right? So that's something that women and parents, I think, in general, put on, women maybe in particular, female identified folks in particular, to be fine, to be fulfilled, for this to be their everything. And to not feel like you want to kill your kids on a particular day, to not feel like, oh my God, if I don't get out of this house, like I'm going to freak out, lose it, kill myself, to not yell at your kids sometimes, to not, all the things that are sort of normal parts of parenting and normal parts of having stressful moments and off days, or where your kids have off days, or whatever it might be. But we have this notion that if mothering is not like the most defining role of your life, and it's not the most joyful and fulfilling thing you've ever done, then there must be something wrong, or you're not doing it right. And that, what about moms who yell, right? What about the mom who has a complete freak out and says the wrong things to her kids and then has to apologize and hug them? And those aren't things that moms always feel like they are allowed to talk about, right? I think it's normal. And in the circles I run in, we talk about those things. We call each other, we cry, we say, man, I dropped the ball. I'm so not nailing it. Like, this is what happened. I feel terrible. And we support each other through those moments because everyone has them. But in public, it's not really a thing that you're supposed to talk about, that there are these moments where, like, you can't even believe that you're stuck in this situation that feels so unmanageable. And I use the word stuck on purpose because I think that lots of times it's how moms feel, because there's so little leeway and so little power sometimes to make things the way that you want them to be, or to have enough sleep, or to have half an hour to work out, or to go to the bathroom without somebody knocking on the door, whatever it might be. From the sort of most basic things that I think we struggle with sometimes, to like the large scale things like childcare and affording childcare, and trying to climb out of a situation that is difficult, and all of the things that seem stacked against you when that's the case. We are expected to be joyful, and for this to be enough, our kids to be enough, that ever filled us, that it, for all that we need, they fill all of the cups. And it's not reasonable, right? It is not a reasonable expectation to think that moms can stay home with their kids and not need other grown-ups, not need time to go out alone, or to be alone, or to go to the bathroom alone, or to work out, or to just have a cup of coffee or whatever you might be drinking on the phone with your friend, and be able to talk about the things. It's not enough. And it's hard to, give from an empty cup. But those are things that I think, most moms feel like they are judged pretty harshly for needing that time. And I know at my house, sometimes, I get one of them bathed and in bed, and then there's like this space of time, especially now that he's not going to bed as early because there's no school. There's this space of time where normally I would have taken that chunk of time and spent it sort of alone with my oldest, and we'd read and do whatever. And then he'd go to bed, and then I would still have some time at the end of the night to work out, talk to my friends, talk to my sister, whatever it might be. But that like me time where I wasn't having to answer to somebody else or meet other needs or whatever, where I could just kind of do whatever I needed to do, relax a little bit, I guess. And now that it's different and he's staying up a little bit later, like I still go to bed early. And so oftentimes he's going to bed at the same time I am. And so there's this, I know that it's okay, like intellectually, right? And academically, we talk about these things, we sort them out, we talk to our people. So of course it's okay for me to be on the phone with a friend or talking to my sister or whatever it might be. But there's still this weird thing about like, am I not giving him enough at the end of the day, except that we're home all day, every single day for like weeks on end now. My kids are getting enough. Like they might not always have seen me enough because I work a lot. For sure, they see me more now than they have like ever, right? We're spending a lot of time together. But there's still that pressure. Is it quality enough time? Is it engaged enough? Am I stimulating them enough? Is it enough one-on-one? There's still this thing out there, right? That this cloak of expectation that we wear and constantly evaluate ourselves against and wonder, am I dropping the ball? Am I not doing enough? Like, are they going to bear like damage from this time at home because I wasn't present enough, or because I was navigating, I had to work at home, but then I had to say no to them, or whatever. There's all these things. And I think as mothers feel them anyway. I've never talked to a single mom who didn't feel some of this stuff. But this added layer of pandemic has really changed, I think, how parents are operating. Never mind the fact that there's this added financial burden for so many families, right? I'm a single mom and I work from home now, and I'm lucky to be able to do that. But there are lots of families where, people are being laid off. And what about families where only one parent is working outside of the home being paid, who's been laid off, who's lost work? I mean, it has really changed the face of every day for everyone. And if it hasn't yet, there's the worry that it's going to. So what does that mean for how we parent, and what our value is, and what the expectations are, and our sort of own agency, our own ability to even do anything about it, because so much is unknown. And I wonder what that means for parents in general, moms, but also for parents in general, in trying to navigate this world of parenting and answering questions. And what is the long-term sort of consequence of this time going to be, especially, in terms of parenting? I think about it all the time. And I'm lucky because I raise my kids with all of my people, right? There's a huge amount of people in my circle, and they all participate really meaningfully in my kids' lives, and we're really lucky to have that. But it's just one of those things I think about. I've chatted with other mom friends of mine about this too, and it's just, you can't help but wonder, along with all of those constant pressures about being a mom and how to do it right and what the right way is to do it. Is your kids sleeping in their own bed? When did they sleep in their own bed? Did you go to sleep? Did you give them a bottle? Did you nurse? Did you give them formula? Are you feeding them organically? Are you making your own food? All that stuff. It is constant. And I think that, it has historically maybe been the case that dads have borne the pressure of being providers, right? The material, financial, practical, life necessity kind of, material things, providers. That's been their burden traditionally. And moms have borne, especially in a world that has been so heterosexist, right? And heteronormative. I mean, and under that construct, moms have borne the burden for everything else, which is like, is your kid a good kid or a bad kid? Are you being a good mom or a bad mom? Do they eat sugar? Do they not eat sugar? Do they act out at school? Have they hit another kid? Are they stimulated enough? Are they excelling in this, excelling in that? Do you have them in enough activities? Are you spending enough time with them? Are they able to read 6 grades beyond their level? Are they artistic? What are you nurturing? How are you nurturing it? Are you doing it the wrong way? Did you spank them? Did you not spank them? Do you let them swear? What do you do when they sass you? Are you grounding them? Are you not grounding them? Are you monitoring their social media? Are they allowed to play on a screen or have a screen? How much screen time? Their moral development, right? Who they turn out to be. If there's a fail, the moms wear that, or historically have worn that. And so under circumstances like this, where the ante is up, like I sort of said at the beginning of this little blurb, I wonder what the fallout will be in terms of mental health, because I think under the pandemic, we're going to see a ton of fallout for everyone, right? That's just kind of across the board. But I wonder about the pressure that moms have felt at home to be nailing the supplemental school stuff and doing extra academic things with their kids because there is no school, and then now there's no activities. So what are you doing with your kids to keep them active, to keep them engaged, to keep them interested, because they can't go play with their friends and they're not allowed. There's no activities. There's no soccer, baseball, football, what have you, parkour. So I'm wondering what the damage of wearing the mask is going to do to moms who maybe still don't feel like there's anywhere to talk about it and kind of tell the truth about what a hard day it was, or how badly they feel like they failed, or the mistakes that they made, or the expectations they're not living up to, or the things that they can't provide because this is the current situation. It's a unique time to be sort of thinking about all of those things. I also was thinking, and thinking about the value of paid work versus work that's done in the home. I've thought about this a lot actually, and I thought about it when I was on mat leave also. And I'm a single mom, and so when mat leave happens at my house, we just lose fully, half of what I make mostly. And I'm thinking all the time, and I'm a lucky, mom who has lots of support. What does it mean for how we think about what a family looks like when our mat leave for a single parent, any kind of single parent, is very different than in a two-parent household, right? Because you still have presumably one parent working. So you have one full income and one partial income. And in a single parent household, you have just a partial income. But mortgages don't decrease by half, bills don't decrease by half, the cost of diapers don't decrease by half. And so I'm just wondering what you guys think about that. It's something I'm not sure really if this is, like a policy thing. I think about whether it's sort of heterosexist and really heteronormative in this, sort of throwback ideal of the two-parent household. It's not a matter of circumstance all the time, and sometimes it is. So is it a punishment or is it not a punishment? What if it's not your choice to be a single parent? What if you didn't know that that's how it was going to go? Presumably for a parent who chose single parenthood, and I mean, was already on their own, decided to have a child. Presumably, maybe that looks a little bit different, but I do think about what that means for just as a society, right? What we still kind of think about what a family looks like and what certain families deserve versus what other families deserve. Like, is it the case that we think of single moms as like, well, you obviously chose this, so you should have made better choices, and you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in, on a mat leave that doesn't pay as much. Like, is that a possibility? Or is it simply just the luck of the draw that if you happen to end up being a single parent, you are not, you will have that struggle. And that's just something you should know. I'm not sure, but I think it's interesting to think about what that means for us culturally, in terms of the support that we provide for families. And that's just one example, right? When we talk about any sort of supports that are available to families, we have judgments and ideas, like I was talking about last time, that we can't sort of help but have. And where it's, a matter of policy kind of, I just wonder what that means for us as a larger society, but also for ourselves. Like, are we having judgments about single moms and how many kids they have, and why do they do that if they don't, if they're, they're going to be poor or have to pay for this or don't have money for that? Like, why do they keep doing this? And these are, I mean, you hear these things. I hear people saying things like this. So it's something I wanted to kind of throw out there and ask you to think about a little bit, in terms of how we're sort of perceiving moms in general, right? When we think about single moms and we think about stay-at-home moms, often we ask stay-at-home moms, no, but what do you do? Like, do you work? As though the work of being at home is not valuable work. I mean, the world couldn't operate without it, but it's not something that we often, consciously recognize as being valuable, and often ask that question without sort of recognizing what the implication of that is, which is to say that, like, oh, so you don't work, right? What you do at home is not contributing in any meaningful way because it's not paid labor. And how would it be different if stay-at-home moms earned a living wage for the work that they do? How would it be if there was financial compensation, and how would that change the way that we see work in general, conceive of work? What would it do to our social structure if moms were paid to stay home? And how would it change how we see moms? Or in this case, I think, stay-at-home parents, whoever the parent might be. Because now more and more we're seeing that dads will stay home as well. So if a stay-at-home parent was able to earn a living wage and have that role be recognized, in terms of prestige and actual value under our current system, right? Finances are part of that. A paid wage is part of that. How would it change how we operate? How would it change how we deal with the pressures and expectations? How would it change how we see each other parents, and ourselves in this world? And what might it change for people who are trying to decide whether they want to parent or not? There are some really very real consequences, and I think, again, this situation has really hammered home a lot of complexities where this particular topic is concerned that somehow often just aren't always at the forefront of, how we conceive of our social organization. But it's something that certainly right now I am thinking about a lot, and I imagine a lot of you are as well. So I'm going to leave you with that. Happy reading. I'm going through the assignments to answer. I've answered almost all of your emails, but I know that there are a few that are still outstanding, and so I'm going to answer the emails about the assignments here, perhaps in like a video email rather than answering everybody individually. I'll just go over the assignment. Let me know if you haven't received your textbooks. I had one of you had emailed and said they're available through the library online, so that's an option. Turn the Tide books. Somebody else got them in a week from them. So let me know if you've had trouble getting hold of the bookstore or getting your books ordered and kind of just where you're at. I wasn't really panicked about posting this unit because I knew that some of you are still just going to be getting your textbooks and the reading's not heavy right now anyway, so that's okay. But I really wasn't panicked about, this particular first couple of weeks, these two sort of units, because I know that we're sort of catching up given how everything has started off. The other thing I just wanted to quickly highlight is that I know in the syllabus I didn't change this. I just didn't catch it. But obviously we're not having a speakers panel. It's hard to have access to people, and people's lives are so jumbled up that that section, will have to look a little bit different. So just to highlight, and also the dates are all in the syllabus. So any questions that you have, unless I've, made a mistake on the syllabus, I went through it twice and I looked at it again this morning. Went through it twice when I made the changes and put the dates in, and I looked again this morning, and I think that they're all changed. So the syllabus is where to get the due dates for your assignments. Just to highlight that. If you're curious about something, check your syllabus first and then ask if you like, or if you're confused. I think it's there, and I think I've made it clear now, but that's definitely your go-to. My back is sore here. So anyways, I hope you enjoy the reading. I hope you enjoy this section. I'll see you again in a video email to talk about the first two, for sure, the first two assignments here in the next day. And otherwise, take care. I can see through my window. My kids are outside playing. With my mom, not unattended. I see that the sun is shining though, and so thank goodness for that. That helps. I have found since this has hit, it's sure nice to be able to go outside. So anyways, take good care. Let me know if you need anything. For anyone who had accommodations, don't sweat it. I'm more than happy to meet those and look after those. It's never a problem, so don't worry. I think that's it. Like I said, if you have questions, an emergency, you can go ahead and call me or email me. But otherwise, I'll see you again in the next day or two about assignments, and have a really good week. Take it easy.